Staying fit takes two kinds of exercise. Exercise for your outside and exercise for your inside with Kellogg's Bran Flakes. Kellogg's Bran Flakes are loaded with fiber to exercise your insides as only fiber can. Plus, Kellogg's is the only Bran Flakes that gives you a full day's supply of iron in each delicious bowlful. So if you plan to stay fit, don't just go halfway. Get Kellogg's Bran Flakes. They help keep you fit inside.
Gina! Gina!
There's nothing like coming home to the homemade taste of spaghetti with delicious ragu sauce.
Miss me?
It's delicious.
It's great to be home.
Ragu spaghetti sauce, that's Italian.
Mommy can't get Chris a softer, safer swab than Q-tips. Because Q-tips has 50% more cotton at the tip. Isn't that a good feeling?
Q-tips, a swab by any other name, just isn't the same.
Thursday, Margot Kidder and James Reed are pros at con games.
Get down!
They're playing the shell game your mother warns you about.
Jump.
If it's all the same to you, I'd rather be shot.
Then, nothing can stop Rick and AJ.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When a gang from the past
Not a sound, copper.
goes on one last job, Simon and Simon, and
You're not looking forward to my mother coming here.
This is quite an adventure, Master.
Cheating turned you on, Gary.
What is going on here?
find out on Knots Landing, Thursday on CBS. In the coming months, let CBS be your ticket to the movies. In a land of richness and bounty, one man is forced to harvest the fields of others to save his way of life.
You already owe us.
I got no crop, I got no income, and I got no choice.
But in order to survive, he must battle the brother-in-law who betrayed him.
Now just stay away from the rest of my customers. You got it?
I intend to cut every farm that'll hire me between here and Canada, so don't get in my way.
Wayne Rogers and Earl Holliman fight for control of an American harvest. He writes for one paper, she writes for another, but they're about to have a collaboration.
I am just dying to have a baby.
And while he tells his story,
From the bedroom to the delivery room. You like it?
You made an announcement like this to the whole city, Mike, before you told me. That's just too much.
she's telling hers.
This whole town is rooting for you guys.
I'll meet you at home in like 20 minutes, okay?
And bedlines are sure to make headlines.
We're pregnant?
Tim Matheson and Margaret Colin have warm hearts, cold feet. You bet he is, because Steve Martin's looking for the perfect brain in the perfect body. And there's no limit to his madness.
She's not drunk. She's dead. Dead? My God, I better get her to a cemetery right away.
Can he transform lovely Kathleen Turner into the woman of his dreams? Yes, if he's the man with two brains. Tommy Lee Jones is a ghetto priest.
I don't want to lose those people. I want to take Jesus Christ directly to them.
Torn between dedication and desire.
We're supposed to touch as many people as possible, but not necessarily with our hands.
Forced to confront all that he's held sacred.
You were my idea of everything a priest should be.
I'm not ashamed of loving you.
I'm not ashamed of loving you. I am ashamed of betraying him.
You mean Christ?
Broken vows. Go to the movies with CBS.
As the world turns.
For $50,000, I'll forget we even knew each other.
The blackmail.
$50,000.
The deception.
If Lucinda Walsh so much as gets a hint of this thing.
The betrayal.
You don't want the cops to find out why it was worth 10 grand to keep Lansing quiet.
Paying for his past. Weekdays.
Whatever's happening, it's big.
Will you help me? Let's just try and keep you alive. Control will be dead. I suggest you put that down.
The Equalizer, Wednesday on CBS.
This is CBS.
Come on, it's in the cards at Burger King. Take your pick. That's right, and get a meal for only $2.39. All you gotta do is pick one of two terrific meals. Okay, tell you what I'm gonna do. Pick the plain broiled Whopper combo with large fries and a medium Pepsi, or pick the chicken tenders meal combo with large fries and medium Pepsi. It's your pick. Either the Whopper or chicken meal for only $2.39. You can't lose when you pick a deal at Burger King.
You want the best for your family. You're looking for value too. PNC, the price champion for you.
Shop and save on center cut rib pork chops, just $1.77 a pound. Take home the Swiss Miss Hot Cocoa Mix, the 12-ounce package, only 99 cents. And a 6-pack of Coca-Cola 16-ounce bottles, just $1.99 plus deposit.
The price champion for you.
This week at the War Memorial, it's AutoScan 87, the 78th annual new car show. See all the new 1987 cars, vans, and pickups side by side. The newest body styles, 4x4s, high performance, and luxury cars. Enjoy celebration. Exciting young stars performing a variety of popular music. Register with WSYR Radio to win a trip to the Lucayan Beach Resort in the Bahamas. It's AutoScan 87 all this week at the War Memorial.
Coming up on News Center 5, a hotel employee is charged with 96 counts of murder in that New Year's Eve fire in San Juan.
And millions of American working women stand to benefit from a Supreme Court ruling on maternity leaves. In the weather, tomorrow will be a better day.
And in sports, Syracuse sweats through its 15th win.
Now, Bob Kirk, Liz Ayers, and Mark Cooper on sports. This is News Center 5.
Good evening. Here's what's going on. In San Juan, Puerto Rico, a maintenance worker is under arrest tonight. Hector Escudero Aponte is charged with setting the New Year's Eve fire at the DuPont Plaza Hotel, a fire that killed 96 people.
Do you feel you have your man? Yes, we do. And the investigation is continuing.
At a news conference, officials said their suspect is a member of the Teamsters Union, which was involved in a bitter labor negotiation at the time of the fire.
He was an employee in the hotel at the moment of the incident.
Investigators say they expect to make one more arrest and possibly two. Tonight, authorities are looking for those suspects. Well, Syracuse firefighters were called to a fire that broke out shortly after 8 this evening. The blaze was in a 4-story brick apartment building in the 400 block of Bellevue Avenue. Rescuers say the fire started on the 3rd floor and spread quickly to the 4th floor and attic. There were people in the building at the time the fire began, but all escaped without injury. Investigators have been called to the scene to determine the cause.
3 mafia bosses received a century in jail for a lifetime of racketeering and extortion. Anthony Fat Tony Salerno, Carmine Jr. Persico, and Anthony Tony Dux Corello were convicted in New York City. The 3 were also fined $250,000. The sentences are called a huge victory to the government's campaign against organized crime.
You look behind the headlines, you see that we've convicted about 800 people in 4 years who are members or close associates of the mafia. That's what's really going to get the job done.
The lengthy terms will be carried out with a recommendation from the judge that there will be no parole. A 29-year-old Central Square man entered a plea of guilty in connection with the DWI accident that killed a Lysander woman. Harold Dan admitted he was driving while intoxicated on Route 48 when his car crashed into the car carrying 32-year-old Melody Fletcher. Originally charged with vehicular manslaughter, Don pleaded guilty to criminally negligent homicide and DWI. Dan's expected to be sentenced in March.
Amtrak's worst fatal crash, the one a week ago Sunday in Maryland, has now claimed 16 lives. Today, a woman died from injuries suffered in the wreck. Federal investigators are saying that both trains were speeding. And new test results tonight reveal that the Amtrak train, which collided with 3 Conrail locomotives, was going 23 miles an hour above the speed limit. Officials also all but blamed the engineer who ran or ignored at least 3 stop signs. Governor Cuomo has named a special prosecutor to investigate the racially motivated attack on 3 blacks in a Queens neighborhood last month. He'll also look into charges of official misconduct by police.
Well, the Supreme Court has handed a victory to working women. In a 6-3 decision, the justices upheld a California law requiring employers to grant an unpaid maternity leave for as long as 4 months. And as Maureen Green found out, they also ruled that businesses must give the new mother her old job back.
I think it's good because now that I've been home, I took like 2.5 months. Now this next time for my second child, I plan on staying home about at least 6 months before I go back.
Dorian Reinhardt is one of the lucky ones. She chose a career that she could leave and return to whenever she wants. Some other pregnant working women are not so lucky. They're returning to find someone else in their job. Administrative assistant Stephanie Wallace is due in 2 weeks.
I will be back at my same kind of position. Where I'll be, I'm not sure. The director didn't know when I left. They're going through a big change. So I really don't know where I'm going back. I know I'm going back to my same general position.
And this is patently unfair, certainly in light of the pro-family feelings we have about our world.
At least 8 states have laws which provide job protection to working pregnant women. Some employers claim the laws discriminate against men and non-pregnant women. They also say it's expensive.
Such a law would add to their cost of doing business.
The injustice was so flagrant and so major against women that this has to be corrected first, and then society will have to make the other adjustments that will follow.
Maureen Green, News Center 5.
This is Carol Clark. The Supreme Court ruling may have a significant impact on the pending case of a Tully woman. 33-year-old Carol Oot claims she was discriminated against by Day Brothers. Oot went on maternity leave in April of 1986 when her son Brandon was born, but says when she tried to return in July of '86, she was told to either take a merchandise manager's job or be demoted to a buyer.
I think because they saw that possibly I might have another priority in my life. And I think that they've been burned time and time again by women coming back from maternity leave for a couple of weeks and then resigning.
Oot was the manager of Day Brothers' largest store at Shoppingtown Mall. The new mother says it was also implied by a vice president of Allied Stores that if she didn't become a parent, she would become a vice president someday. Oot has filed a lawsuit which goes to federal court in March.
The highest court in the land, the United States Supreme Court, has spoken out in defending the rights of working women to be both parents and workers.
DeCrow says she would like to see legislation enacted that would allow parental leave from a job for both men and women. Carol Clark, News Center 5.
The state's #1 consumer says he can prove that 9 Mile 2's owners have no intention of keeping a cost settlement on the world's most expensive nuclear plant. The story now from Albany on News Center 5's Dave Bullard.
When the Public Service Commission and the 5 utilities building 9 Mile 2 agreed to charge consumers $4.16 billion for the $6 billion plant, critics howled. That's because the agreement lets utilities charge consumers for so-called extraordinary costs. The critics feared utilities would abuse the clause, making the cap worthless. Today, the state's Consumer Protection Board chief says his fears are being confirmed.
And they're thinking about it. They're saying, when do we do it? How do we do it? But they're getting ready to do it.
Kessel's talking about this memo dated December 19th. It involves Rochester Gas and Electric, which owns part of 9 Mile 2. Commission staffers say in it that RG&E will ask the PSC to pass on the cost of fixing leaky steam valves to consumers as an extraordinary cost.
The main steam isolation valve problems are not new problems. These problems were recognized years ago in the early 1980s.
Kessel says the extraordinary cost clause is just one of 3 cap-busting tactics he says the utilities are using. Second is requests for higher profit limits for the utilities to offset losses from the cost cap. And third is that the utilities are charging some 9 Mile 2 costs to other accounts. He wants the utilities to promise not to use the extraordinary cost loophole.
The ratepayers are entitled to know as quickly as possible that, in fact, a cap does or doesn't exist.
Kessel knows he's likely to lose this round, but oddly enough, losing might just be in his favor. He says that would show that the utilities never intended to keep to the cost cap, and he says that just might force the Public Service Commission into a full-scale probe of how money was spent to build 9 Mile 2. At the Capitol in Albany, Dave Bullard, News Center 5.
And tonight, Niagara Mohawk has responded. It says Kessel's call for a promise not to use the extraordinary cost clause is totally uncalled for. Spokesman Bill Romano says the utilities aren't talking about taking the leaky valves case to the PSC, but he admits they may have to eventually.
And there's one other nuclear note tonight. The Fitzpatrick Nuclear Power Plant in Oswego will be taken out of service for 3 months starting Thursday. The shutdown makes room for refueling, maintenance, and modifications.
Just ahead on News Center 5, a U.S. Marine is charged in a case involving romance and Soviet espionage. And the mission to get back hostages in Beirut is marred by the kidnapping of a journalist.
Knowing how good my chickens are isn't good enough for me. So every week, I have my people go out and buy cases of my competitors' birds. We put them through the same rigid inspection that our own Purdue chickens have to go through. It costs me a lot of money, but it's worth it. It's the only way I have of knowing that I'm ahead of these guys.
Great dessert ideas start with creamy Seal Test ice cream. 1/2 gallon, just $1.69. Every day, $1.69 at Wegmans, the new price champion.
Check out Wegmans. When it comes to low prices on the foods I shop for most, Wegmans takes the cake.
Savings add up at Wegmans.
Every day you get our best.
And the best is now for less.
Hi, Mr. Woody. How you doing?
Not too good. Remember when I was in here last...
He
doesn't remember, Woody?
September 30th.
Yeah, I had a problem with my...
Lower back.
Yeah, only you had to call my doctor because AccuFace said my prescription might react with my...
Hay fever medicine.
Yeah, remember my back was killing me every time I...
Bent over.
Yeah, well,
He's got it again.
Yeah.
AccuFace, just one more reason Phase is not your average drugstore.
Obviously.
Yeah.
On Magnum, what happened? A heart attack victim mysteriously disappears.
Saul was a member of something called the Masada team.
It's a secret Israeli unit that locates and captures war criminals.
I don't know if I'm ready for Nazis.
And Magnum's in the middle of World War II's darkest secret.
Nazi prison camps.
She knows names.
Deadly Adversaries on Magnum.
Magnum, Wednesday at 4 on TV5.
Tonight, a major spy case is unfolding, and U.S. officials say the breach involves top-secret information. There are allegations that U.S. Marine Guard Sergeant Clayton J. Longtree allowed KGB agents into the U.S. and Vienna embassies to steal top-secret documents and bug VIP offices. He apparently did so because he fell in love with a girl who was a Soviet spy. Longtree's father denies the charges.
What I have to say may be a disappointment to those fanciers of spy novels. This matter has been blown all out of proportion.
Next month, Longtree will appear before officials where he'll face charges of espionage and unauthorized removal of classified information.
Another kidnapping in Beirut. This one happened while a French journalist was covering hostage negotiator Terry Waite. Freelance newsman Roger Oak was kidnapped just minutes after these pictures were taken. The 31-year-old Frenchman returned to his hotel, where he stepped out of the elevator and into the hands of his kidnappers. Another French journalist managed to escape.
There definitely has to be a stop to the fighting, a stop to the killing, a stop to the kidnapping.
Waite continued on with armed bodyguards. Later, a communique from kidnappers that one hostage would be executed, a Lebanese Jew. The French government will try to free their hostages, but vow not to negotiate with terrorists.
3 state agencies today unveiled a 68-page supplement to the drug education curriculum already being followed by the 30,000 public and parochial school teachers in the state. Now, under the plan, alcohol education will begin in the earlier grades.
The last survey that was done showed that in the age groups 12 to 17, fully a quarter of the school students are reported getting drunk at least once a week, and many of them attending school that way, and high once a week.
The state officials hope that by deterring use of alcohol, they can also reduce the abuse of other drugs.
Well, it's becoming old hat on Wall Street as another gain was scored. That marks the 7th session in a row the Dow Industrial Average posted a new record. Although market activity was slower than it has been in most recent weeks, the Dow Industrials were up 3 points to 2012. Volume was heavy as 172 million shares changed hands. Gainers led decliners by a narrow margin. And next, mild temperatures and a little sun in the 5-cast. And Bill Carey straightens out the confusion to those all-terrain vehicle fees. Stay with us.
Only a giant could sell all these TVs, VCRs, audio components, and appliances for such little prices. Only Silo. With 120 stores from coast to coast, we've got the clout to bring you a mammoth selection at midget prices. During Silo's giant winter sale, you'll save big on hundreds of TVs, VCRs, appliances, and audio equipment. It's happening right now at Silo's Giant Winter Sale. Our size means you save big.
At Duracell, the race to be the best, to be the king of the road, goes on and on. Which is why today's copper top battery lasts up to 30% longer than the ones we made just 2 years ago.